Good morning. We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. The market goes down. Everyone gets upset. Everyone's worried. And it's a bull market that doesn't feel like a bull market to anyone in crypto. I'm going to help straighten everybody out today. I'm going to send you home happy for the holidays. I am grateful that you watch my show. I am grateful that we are all here in crypto at this big point in human history. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays to everyone who watches the show. Without you, there is no show. Today, we are going to have a fireside chat with the guy who does fireside chats. Believe it or not, it's a guy I used to work with at Morgan Stanley, who's now an asset manager and is probably on his way to being famous. He would probably be a lot bigger if he was less boring. But that said, the guy's got a voice regarding Bitcoin where he mixes Bitcoin together with the AI narrative to describe our transition into what he calls like an age of prosperity. So Bitcoin, in his mind, and crypto is all about creating, a new system that we both want and need. And we're going there whether we like it or not because it's attached to the AI train. So while we all wanted the Santa rally, and there was every reason to believe we were going to get the Santa rally, Legacy had to get all grumpy with stocks, bonds, and the dollar. So higher rates, higher dollar, weaker stocks. And now everyone in crypto is stuck wondering, will my bags ever go up? The answer is yes. Perhaps not in the way they did in 2021. People are still waiting for that cycle or that price action. I don't think you're going to get it, and I don't think you want to get it because that's a bubble. We'll go over that from Jordi Visser soon. You're going to have to take a sector approach. You're going to have to wait till stuff pops off, then you're going to have to move to the next sector, or make sure you have one or two coins in every sector so something's always popping off when we have to go through these range periods. You know what I hate? Ranges. Right. And that's what the market decided to do. We went from trend to range out of nowhere, most likely because everybody got euphoric. And then 2 weeks later, 45 days into a mega long-term uptrend, we're now all depressed. I don't think the depression is warranted. One, because it's Christmas and Hanukkah. And two, because it just doesn't make any economic sense. Don't go anywhere. We'll go over it. We'll talk about the charts that are affecting the market right now. Okay, SGSG, first on the stream, the original. Warmon, Horace, Thomas, Stefan, Zepetis, good morning. Hav, David, Arendam, Gavin, James, what's going on? Wirchel, Andy, Mark, Dominic, hi. Gian is here. Old Smoky. What's going on? Merry Christmas to you, sir. LA13, Sam, eCrypt, Zoya. It's nice to have a stream where you could say hello and happy holidays to everybody. Now, as you can see, I am I am under the weather, and I will give you everything I got this morning. Now, let's go. News. Van Eck CEO says he has 30% of his portfolio in Bitcoin. So we've discussed this 50, 30, 20 model that actually came from this guy, Jordi Visser, who I used to work with. This is going to be the standard asset allocation for Bitcoin or crypto going forward. Right now, it's about 2%. One of the things that's amazing about Bitcoin and crypto, despite what you hear from, say, legacy or not legacy, but what crypto Twitter likes to get excited about regarding legacy in crypto is that most of legacy, TradFi, whatever, still hates Bitcoin. Never mind the rest of Web3, which, sometimes I forget. Like I look at this, I'm like, oh my God, we got to build Web3 right now. The Orange Man wants to take over Panama Canal and Greenland. What, we're not building DeFi? we're not doing that? Well, I guess not, because not right this second anyway, because everybody in TradFi still hates it. I forget that. But not everybody. Not everybody. And these guys at the top of these big mutual fund companies, they're going to start publishing research, and that's going to help contribute to FOMO when the rally resumes. Digital asset investment products saw $308 million in inflows last week. So even with a down week, people are still pouring into crypto. And frankly, I think the world is this simple. You got to get out of equities and you got to get into digital assets, which is Bitcoin and anything related. Different forms of money, XRP, these American-made layer ones, Algorand and HBAR. They kind of had these rallies and everyone's assuming they won't have another one. The thing about Algorand and HBAR is you do have bag holders in those, Cardano too, but they're not like perhaps the overhyped venture capital stuff from the last cycle. In other words, like what happens if SUI overtakes Solana in transactions next year? What happens if there are other layer ones like Algorand and Hedera that really rise to the top, the way Solana did? You got to think outside the box going into next year. And I've been saying for a while, one of my colleagues says it too. It's like the market will tell you on the first spurt out the gate what the coins are for, the next big trend. Now, for everyone who thinks that, I don't know, it's the inflation apocalypse, whatever's going on, it's not true. Durable goods are down 1%. They're down more than expected. Durable goods, minus transportation like airplanes, it's down. Capital goods orders, I don't know. They seem to be okay. It's a mixed picture. It's not runaway inflation and it's not a recession. Okay, as of now. Okay, this seems to happen every time the market goes down, right? Mt. Gox holds $3 billion in Bitcoin. And every time the government or Mt. Gox move money around in wallets, the market goes down. Right? All they're doing is moving money around. They have $3 billion in Bitcoin, which would be absorbed, possibly at lower prices, but it would be absorbed massively. Michael Saylor would be one of the people who does it, or BlackRock. Because what these guys have to do, and I was explaining this to somebody this morning, Michael Saylor has a joke where he says, I'm going to have to buy the high all the way up. And what that means is Michael Saylor is going to have to wait for the market to go up a lot. So market makers will be willing to sell him all the Bitcoin that they have in their inventory. Right? It's very simple, right? Michael Saylor comes in, drains a bunch of Bitcoin out of the market. Now, conveniently, when there's a lot of FOMO, he's able to borrow a lot of money against his stock MicroStrategy. So there's two factors there, right? FOMO means he can borrow money, and then he's got to basically pay the high to get the kind of size that he wants. You don't know it's the high, but dealers are like, all right, well, there's lots of FOMO here. We'll sell some. And then dealers have to scramble to get it back. Now, I thought that was a 2-3 day scramble. Now I don't know what they're doing headed into a holiday period. And I don't know what's going to happen in stocks at the end of the year because I don't like what's going on over there. Does this affect anything about my view in crypto? No. Unless you did a horrible trade in a small cap and you need to like tax loss sell it. Is there anything to be done with your positions now? I don't think so. Right. I think this is ignore the noise. So they want to move stuff around. They can move stuff around, but this is Michael Saylor. You know, they bought a bunch of Bitcoin at 106. And you're asking yourself, well, if it's at 106, if that's where he bought all his Bitcoin, why is it at 95? Because the market makers hit everything to try to get it back, right? They have to like redo their inventory. So if Michael Saylor has their Bitcoin, they have to try to get yours. And in past bull markets, you can have corrections that last from anywhere from 5 to 10 days. Does that mean I want to be bearish at, 95K because I think it could go to 87 like all the dinwits on crypto Twitter? No. Matter of fact, we'll make fun of the dinwits on crypto Twitter in the thought leadership fireside chat segment coming up, so don't miss it. Bitcoin social sentiment drops to 1-year low. Again, when it comes to crypto, everybody wants 2021. Everybody wants all my bags, all the NFTs, everything up only all the time for 12 months. Then we all genuflect and sell everything, and then it goes to zero. That's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's over. Again, Jordi Visser essentially straightened it all out. Bitcoin sees first major weekly price decline since Orange Man came into office. Okay. The pullback follows the U.S. Federal Reserve slimming the number of projected interest rate cuts for 2025. Look, the equity market loves its fantasies. It does. The Fed cutting rates to 2% or whatever it is they think the Fed's going to do. If inflation is 3 or 4%, rates are going to be at 3 or 4%. I'm talking to somebody last night. They just bought a car. They have an hourly wage job and average credit. The best interest rate that she was able to get on her car that she bought recently was 18%. So if you have somebody who's employed, right, has to get a car loan with the rate of 18%. Who's buying a car, right? Rates, even though, the forecast in the short term may be off, rates are still too high. Money supply is falling. So while the Fed doesn't necessarily need to cut rates massively right now, when the Department of Government Efficiency gets done, there's going to be plenty of room to cut rates. It's just not happening now. And of course, this becomes a reason to get hysterically bearish stocks, call for the end of the world, moon the dollar, all of which, if you ask me, is wrong, right? Stock market has got to go through an extended period of range trading and consolidation after being up only. That doesn't mean the end of the world for crypto at all. Matter of fact, Jordi Visser makes fun of people who think that, the stock market's going to zero and it's all a bubble, and it's not happening. They've been calling for it for 5 years. I love the way he says it. Okay, the Orange Man's got a unique opportunity to get along with the Chinese. I hope he takes it. 31% of all Bitcoin is held by governments, ETFs, and MicroStrategy, marking a 14% increase from last year. Okay, note that exchanges and miners have a huge chunk of Bitcoin, right? MicroStrategy and governments are still a relatively small number. Okay. Miners, right? Who's got all the Bitcoin? miners. So if the red group and the orange group, the red group is MicroStrategy, the orange group is governments, and the yellow group is ETFs, they got to buy miners. But, they're going to sell all the mining stocks. Every time Bitcoin goes down, it's absurd. $90 billion asset manager says the U.S. could reduce its debt by 35%. Okay, so this is the type of FOMO that you get from investment banks at temporary tops. I should have known, right? Everybody comes out with a $200,000 price target for Bitcoin all at the same time at the top of a rally. And I'm like, ugh, that should have been it. Now, I was looking for a bigger Santa rally. But when investment banks start saying that the greatest way to pay off the national debt is to buy Bitcoin, that may be true, but that's probably a sign of excessive FOMO. Just a little bit, right? Okay. Gold starts the week off flat. Still, it needs a weaker dollar to rise materially from here. I will never understand what is going on with the dollar, particularly with the Department of Government Efficiency coming and inflation acting as a drag on the economy. They are so stuck on this whole idea of, the Fed is hawkish, therefore moon the dollar. It is so absurd. It's so absurd, particularly when you're looking at most likely regime change across Europe, particularly in Germany, which is the lead economy for Europe. I mean, if you got a normal, neutral government that wasn't like, I don't know, you could call them left-wing globalists, maybe. If you got a normal, middle-of-the-road government in the UK and Germany, you could have a complete shift in how people view those currencies, which would allow the dollar to go lower against the euro, sterling, gold, silver, and Bitcoin. But that's not the trade we're doing today. Saylor floats U.S. crypto framework for massive reserve. Van Eck says Bitcoin is going to $42 million by 2049. Okay, if Bitcoin goes to $42 million by 2049, most likely Skynet is in control of the planet, and I'm not sure who, if anybody, controls Skynet. Skynet is a computer from Terminator movies, which, if you're unfamiliar with that, you could perhaps catch up on over the holidays. They did come out with something that said they have artificial general intelligence ready to go for ChatGPT for $30 a month. That was supposed to be 5 years away. El Salvador buys more Bitcoin. So, let me ask you something. What's the difference between 105, 95, and 85? There isn't any. Somebody told me one day that Bitcoin is going to fluctuate daily in larger amounts than the current price. That's what people were telling me. That's one guy said around 60K. Remember 70K? Oh, it's the all-time high. These guys are just going to continue to buy on any dip. And we're all getting depressed. Like, crypto thought leadership is buying with both hands. And we're understandably upset because our bags didn't moon right away. I couldn't enter crypto, get long, and have everything just 1000x right now. It's probably not going to work that way. And if we look at Jordi Visser soon, we're going to see that maybe we don't want it to be that way. Bitcoin breaks the 5-day downtrend line. I don't know why anybody would sell Bitcoin at 90. Recently, we had kind of reversal over here, right? When you have these V-bottom reversals, you can go sideways and do these knife experience tests. Down, down, down. Oh, no, it's going to blow up and go to 87. Okay, it comes back. And then it's going to go down again. And then everyone goes, oh, my God, it's going to blow up and go to 87. Then it comes back. Then we do this type of thing for, I don't know, 3 days, 30 days, whatever. Everybody is doing sell the fact on the Orange Man's inauguration 1 month early. It's like the Bitcoin ETF was sell the fact at 48K. It's just absurd. But, if you do want up only, this is what I said to myself. If you do want up only, and up only is coming, then you have to get everyone into a range and into a disbelief stage, which is exactly what we did for the 8 months prior to the election. This may be a miniature version of that. That's all. Because people love to be bearish. They love to be in a range. It's a great way to get exposure on Twitter. Ridiculous, right? It's almost like you could just like pack it up. You could, in a way, pack it up and go home, in a way, right? Unless you had something that was like way against you, this market's going to chop people out and depress everybody unnecessarily. Like that part is absolutely crazy banana pants. Don't get caught. See, here we go. How low can we go? Now eyeing 88 to 90 reason for the potential bounce. See, look, I mean, like they got to write something. I know. Their journalists is stupid, right? Last night it was like, oh my God, everything is going to zero. Is at 93K. Market was at 93K around Thanksgiving, and it was like total euphoria on the way up. Now it's at 93K and everyone's depressed. Insane. Okay, so the Orange Man can't stop appointing people to pump crypto. They have to have growth. They have to. He's talking about buying Greenland for water, most likely, right? The guy lives to be controversial. He lives to do things that people say he couldn't or shouldn't do. And Elon is no exception. Elon wants regime change in Germany, and he's going to get it, right? These guys are not fooling around. Elon is motivated partially by patriotism, partially by ensuring that every government on the planet is on board with going to Mars. If you cut to the chase, right? So when these guys tell you that they're going to do something, I don't know. Right now, people still don't believe it. And I can only push that point so far if price is not moving my way, but it's still true. Okay, the Monroe Doctrine is something that, I studied in social studies a long time ago. Basically says the United States reserves the right to do whatever it needs to do inside this hemisphere near Latin America to ensure its security, prosperity, or just enforce its will. I'm sure it makes a lot of people upset, but guess what? The Orange Man is like, this is what we're doing. Now, you may not like this. You may not like him. However, when these guys tell you that they're going to do something, they're going to do it. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated. They're only going to be 21 million, and that's it. And that's the market update. And the Bitcoin standard is now on CNBC. Okay. 5 meme trends and 3 AI trends rank in the top 20 crypto narratives for 2024. So undoubtedly, the volatility in meme coins was epic. I discussed how these big memes were distributed and the price action in the charts in most of these coins right now, frankly, stinks. That said, meme coins were an attempt by small players to both create a speculative wealth engine and an alternative to the dollar, whether they knew it or not, right? It was pump.fun. Good? Okay. So pump.fun was a dollar devaluation. Of course, no one is saying that, but that's what it really was, to be honest, right? And that's a very powerful trend that will continue, even though, like one guy said, you're going to have like AI agent winter, right? the AI trade comes and goes. You had kind of an AI token winter, earlier, right? Fetch and AGIX and all these entities like Tau, they go out of fashion, they hang out for 6 months, 9 months, then they come back into fashion. It's almost like I have a colleague who said this: we have cycles within the cycle. The big cycle is gone, but you have these little cycles, right? Everything goes all the way up, everyone gets euphoric, and then it goes down 70% in your face. Then you have to wait 3 months, and then it turns around, right? That's the big cycle in years. We're now doing it in weeks and months. Now, is that fun? Not really. But there is a way to make money, because if you get a sector that gets really hot, it pays to take the profits and then rotate into something else. Because again, if we're going to do these 40 days up, 15 days down, if that's what the crypto trend is going to be, there's a way to make a lot of money on that. There really is. It's just that, you have to fight the resistance to buy the top and be patient enough to sit with whatever you buy that's down. Okay, UAE company is going public. Crypto companies going public. Huge narrative. Chainlink involved with meme coins. Meme coins with debit cards are coming back. Population is going up. Population crisis is happening in the world. You want to make this number go north? Get crypto moving. We have a lot of crypto bros, that, if they have a car and they can take somebody out for Chinese food and they got enough money for, to be able to provide for their family, this number goes the other way. So they can pump crypto or they can watch this number go down. It's all the same to me. Now, Bitcoin, let's talk about it. So Jordi, I used to work with him. He was the original market update. So he would write something in a Bloomberg terminal every day. We all read it, everybody. And, he would try to predict where the market was going to go that day, that week, mostly that day. It's kind of like a day trader newsletter. But the guy's just so smart. It's unbelievable. He got himself into an asset management role where he can just sort of sit in a skyscraper and think and write. And the guy's just that smart. So now he's on Twitter and, he doesn't have, he's got 9,000 followers, but this Twitter thread got 1 million views. So let's go through it, right? Given that Bitcoin is up 100% for the second year in a row, right? It should be no surprise that everyone on Twitter is debating whether or not it's a bubble. Okay. Given my view that this is still early in the Bitcoin US stock debasement story, meaning you got to get out of the dollar and get into an asset. Okay. This is Bitcoin moving higher. And then first of all, we need the internet bubble as an example. If you look at NASDAQ from 1990 until 2000, right, it went up 40% a year. It did not have a down year, and 1999 was up more than 100%. The Bitcoin chart over the last 3 years is not a bubble. This is a 10-year up move. This is what I keep saying. It's a 10-year up move. And we'll go over this in another part of the presentation. But it is really funny that all the investment banks and all the brokerage houses that were pushing internet IPOs right here, yeah, you got to get in on pets.com at a $6 billion valuation. All the entities that wanted to sell that to you, Bitcoin's rat poison, don't touch it, 2% allocation max, whatever. They just all missed it. Michael Saylor had a large impact on people. Obviously, his purchase are helping the strength, but many of the smartest Many of the smartest, most experienced, and wealthy market participants are seeing MicroStrategy as a joke and a sign of a bubble. So not only are they not into it because it's not a bubble that they can control, but they insist that everything that the smartest guy in the market is doing is a joke. And Jordi has a huge amount of respect for Michael Saylor because Michael Saylor was a huge Bitcoin hater out of the gate, read the research, and changed his mind, which, is not the easiest thing to do, right? Sometimes in order to be right, you got to first be wrong. Everybody thinks MicroStrategy is a joke. It's not a joke. Now, this is very important. This is what you need to know. 2021, that cycle, '21 was a bubble. My 13-year-old son printed money. Altcoins, NFTs in the news, and celebrities pitching crypto everywhere. Tom Brady, Madonna buying Bored Apes. Super Bowl commercials, FTX Arena, Matt Damon for Crypto.com. Basically, anything was working. Anything. The altcoin index is still 50% off the bubble and was sitting near the lows of the last 3 years prior to the election. This is an altcoin index apparently on Bloomberg. Kind of unbelievable in its way. This was back in early December. So even if altcoins are back here, as I'm sure you know, altcoins have not gone up only as a group at all. The second largest crypto, Ethereum, has not even made new all-time highs. So this is how a macro head will look at Ethereum. This is how the stock market people look at Ethereum. We're like, well, Ethereum's terrible because I can't trade meme coins. Right. But it still is the second largest cryptocurrency. And, again, it hasn't taken out 5,000. I can't believe that I would ever use the Hawk Tuah girl as an indicator for a macro view. But the fact that she launched a meme coin and it went bust in a day is one of the reasons why this is not a bubble. Because if it was, she would have made millions. Instead, she's going to talk to a judge. Finally, at this stage, crypto and Bitcoin are being adopted by more credible investors and institutions. The fastest growing history of ETFs, and there is one more point that seems missing. Every day, I receive more sell-side research I could ever look at, yet digital asset research is limited. There is no voice of crypto research. I would love to fill in. Okay. They are not included in outlooks, and most smaller retail investors are still not allowed or encouraged to buy. Now, if you want to talk about the cycle, let's talk about Jordi's version of the cycle. Okay. The adoption cycle for crypto or Bitcoin should be measured against the Magnificent Seven. In other words, I've talked about Bitcoin or XRP or any other related crypto becoming the Magnificent 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Right now, Bitcoin, you can't even really tell it's in an uptrend relative to the Magnificent Seven tech stocks, which is, Microsoft, Meta, Netflix, Google, Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, those stocks. Bitcoin has done nothing relative to those stocks. And it doesn't really get to a peak, possibly, until you get Bitcoin massively outperforming the Magnificent Seven. So either you need to have a dramatic decoupling where Bitcoin goes down, Bitcoin goes up, and stocks go down. I know that's everyone's kind of dream. Or you just have a situation where stocks have to range trade and Bitcoin just continually trends higher. Now, if stocks keep up with Bitcoin, then it's not a Bitcoin top. And Bitcoin is going to be the rising tide that's going to lift all the boats. So everyone thinks it's the top. Everybody thinks it's overdone in legacy. Everyone thinks it's a bubble. And this is a very clear macro graph of simply Bitcoin divided by the Magnificent Seven index that shows you that basically nothing has happened. Nothing has happened here. Nothing. Even with Bitcoin near 100K. Okay, let's switch over to PowerPoint for more fireside chatting. Because I know everyone is depressed at Christmas, and I'm just not having it. Just not having it. Okay. So with Bitcoin, every time Bitcoin goes down 4%, even though that's like the equivalent of, I don't know, 0.5% in stocks, everybody says it's a crash. Bitcoin's down. Bitcoin's at 93K. Oh my God. Crypto crashes. It works on YouTube to get views, but it's not a crash, right? Bill Dudley, Larry Summers, all these boomer economists write, opinion pieces against the Bitcoin strategic reserve. When Bitcoin breaks 100K or XRP breaks out, 60 Minutes trots out longtime Bitcoin skeptic from the SEC. Crypto is a scourge. It's not something you want in society. Blah, blah, blah. Comments like these have been made by others, right? The establishment's resistance to Bitcoin is not about its legitimacy. It's about control. Mic drop. Okay. Now, this blew my mind. Like, I know this is true, but Jordi actually wrote it down. QE enabled the Federal Reserve to expand its balance sheet. In other words, have assets on its balance sheet that it buys with printed money. That's what expand the balance sheet means when macro heads say it. They print money and they put assets on their balance sheet. It's like you being able to print money and buy your neighbor's house and some Bitcoin. So the Fed goes from 1 trillion to 9 trillion through purchases of debt. So they inject 8 trillion or more. This helped the total household net worth in the United States grow to 170 trillion. Supported by 2.3 trillion in hard currency and 22 trillion in money supply. So in other words, the Fed put this much money in and got this gigantic result. Okay, guys, I got a personal emergency here. I gotta sign off. That's going to be the market update for today. Merry Christmas. I will see you after the holiday.